soil around the villas has been removed up against the buildings because the exterior siding system was buried in soil and it should not have
Hold on, just a second.
The drains aren't in yet.
been. That's right. They're working on them now.
I'll give you plenty of opportunity to ask questions when they're done.
So, Land Care has started, they actually started on Monday. They started on building 600 first, and they're working their way up down to building 100. They're actually working on building 100, the corner, the top number 4. They're working on that one right now. So as they work around the building, they'll get the rest of those drains in. So these are the easy low-hanging fruit. They're tying into directly down into the drain lines that are already existing for the downspouts. So those are those purple ones there. Now, we have an engineering firm, a contract engineering firm that's gonna be doing additional work on these buildings, which is the second phase of this work. These are lines that either have to be tied directly into a concrete basin, which means a concrete saw with a circular hole cutting saw has to come out and drill holes through the existing drain basins to tie these lines in. Right? So those are the 4s on here with the purple or pinkish lines coming off to the drain basins. So that's a more technical work that can't be done by a landscape company. It has to be done by a contractor, and that's David Sarman's company and ERS, the subcontractor. Will be doing that. This is Land Care's work. Again, the simple stuff that they're doing, the drain basins around building 200. And the ERS, I think ERS has a couple. Yeah, they just have a couple. So they have one additional line being added down there at the bottom, and they're lowering 2 existing drain basins. So there's concrete drain basins that are existing as part of the system. Right now, they're sitting too high. They're not low enough to allow the water to drain into them, so they're all being lowered down to allow water to drain into them. And that's those teal-colored 3s on there. And there's a few other around the complex that are being done. There's one. Okay. Go to, yeah, actually go back to 200. And 200 and zoom on that one right there, on the Sarman one. And you can zoom in a little bit on the left side. You can see that there's a hexagonal shape with a 6 in it. That is a drain line that's existing right now, but it doesn't function properly. So its placement and it's how it's actually it's constructed doesn't work for where it sits. It's actually in the corner of the walkway, and right now the carts that everybody drives around in at Smith Ranch can run over that, and it allows that to get built up with debris. And we had to place the proper drain basin there that A, can be driven over, and B, and it can be cleared easily and is much larger than the existing one that's there. So that's what that's going to be.
Laser doesn't work.
I just turn it on first. Operator error. So again, you've got another drain basin here on 300 at this corner that has to get installed to drain out. And this area here is one of the kind of a pocket area. There's no easy way to get a drain line out. So this is one of the ones that has to get tied into the existing downspouts. Sarman doesn't have any drains on 300. I think I don't think there's actually there's one on 400. So Land Care has a drain basin here and a drain basin here, and a drain basin here. That's been installed. This is actually Sarman and ERS to lower that existing drain. So this is an existing drain that's sitting about 3 inches above the grade of the surrounding soil. So obviously water is never going to be able to get into that. So as part of this project, we're lowering that down and then sloping the area around the drain to allow it to flow in. That was oddly shaped. So we've got as part of the process when we were going through and checking the existing downspouts throughout the property, we found that the downspouts on this side were bubbling up. They weren't draining out fully. So we set a line locator through and found that there was damage to the line at that 5. So Landcare is going to dig that up, dig that section of trench out that section of pipe and replace it with a new section of pipe so that the drains on this side will flow out properly. This drain basin here is flowing correctly and out to the rest of the system, but between the building and that drain basin is blocked. And nothing for Sean Hudson. That's right. And that's really it. That's kind of and once those drain basins are in, there's additional sloping of the soil that will happen. And then a gravel bed will be put around those drains. And then round rocks, riprap, will be placed around the drain basins to stop sediment and debris from flowing down and blocking the drains. We're installing a domed atrium drain so that it allows for it to get some buildup around the edges, but still allow flow to get in. And then it allows the maintenance team a bit more time to be able to clear those drains during a rain event.
I think, Glenn, we're ready for any questions.
Yeah, Dave, do you have anything you want to say?
Well, I said, I spoke at the beginning, I think on this side, it's mostly just, I gave the update on the bills at the beginning. I think mostly right now with Sean, it's working through his office and making sure we complete this additional drainage project in regards to the condos as well as additional villas. Right now, we're at a pretty good resting point where we have an idea of cost and scope for that, and we're working through that right now with them. We'll be presenting that back to the board, and you can share that with the community shortly thereafter.
Any questions from the board members? All right, take questions from the audience. Janet, you have one. Let's get the mic.
We have another microphone in the audience to pass around.
I think it's on.
Building 100 was the first to be excavated at our foundations. I'm on the north side, above the garden apartments. The garden apartments still have standing water. The pumps are not working. It's getting to be sort of yucky.
Well, they're working on it now. I'm not sure what. Are you on the uphill side or the downhill side? Okay.
The wet side.
Yeah. So
Along with Dr. Andre.
Janet, you'll need a microphone.
No, it doesn't matter. Just know that there's water standing there and it's going to be warm.
is there? I'll go look at it now. Is you saying there's standing water there right now?
Right.
Okay,
Hasn't
so-
been-
Okay, so yeah, so I'll go look at that. And here's the thing to know about that is there's been water there ever since you moved in. It's just now you can see it. It's right, and it used to be much higher on the building because it was saturated soil that was in contact with that eaves system on the side of the house or side of the building. Now it's dug down, you can actually see the amount of water that's there, but it's been there pretty much the whole time. But yeah, that's part of the process to get that out. So it's then it won't be an issue from this point forward.
Other questions? David Williams.
So actually,
Thank you, David Williams, 400. Not exactly related to the ongoing work, but one of the things I've encountered since I moved here is when it rains, the downspouts are a straight shot from the top floor all the way to the first floor, and then they take about a 45-degree jog. And the noise is amazing when it's raining. Any thoughts to baffling that noise? Is there some way to mitigate that?
I think I'm gonna have to tender that as more of a maintenance department follow-up item, not related to Sean. So I think hearing that will be really important to tie into our maintenance team and see if there's some gutter or downspout improvements we need to do.
There are some silencers you can put on the inside of downspouts.
Yes.
You have to build it. There are silencers you can install. So basically it's like a neoprene product that has a sticky back to it, and it's installed on the inside to stop that vibration from basically vibrating that tube of metal.
Good.
So, yeah.
But good comment, because we want to get ready for the next rains that are coming in the next couple of days. That's also good news for the water that you may see standing. We do have some more rain coming for another week or so, but we are conscious that spring is coming and temperatures are increasing as well. So we want to be mindful of any of that standing water. Hopefully we're mitigating that as soon as possible with those drains installs.
Aaron Levy,
Yeah, I had that problem since I moved in, actually. I'm right off my bedroom window. If it's raining hard, it's not so wet, so like strong, that's the bad. But when it's dripping, it's like water torture. And they did help by putting a little pad at the curb. And that was better, but it's never gone away, and I just got used to it. But that where it sinks, the water comes down, and adding helps, but it didn't solve the problem.
David and Sean, I'm sure your bill rate might be a little more than Smith Ranch Homes' bill rate. So we're gonna probably tender that in-house before we reach out to you guys on that.
any questions? Well, I have the big question for you. Are we gonna be on budget?
Looks like
Under
right now,
budget, maybe?
looks like we're gonna be on budget. I don't wanna say under budget because we still have a ways to go. But collectively across, across the villas, and Scott and I looked at this yesterday, it looks like we're doing pretty good.
David, you agree with that observation?
I concur.
Enough said. Any other questions? Well, thank you two guys for coming. We appreciate it, and we appreciate the job you're doing. I do want to acknowledge that Karen Barico is in Switzerland right now. They said the skiing is wonderful. Cliff skiing every day. He was out. We had Karen on Zoom this morning for our meeting, and she was a good contributor, of course, but she said she had no idea where Cliff was. And if he's not here, the meeting will be at least a quarter of an hour shorter. Okay, next on the agenda is what we are now calling consent agenda. We have been striving to make these meetings more streamlined so that we can move through them, do them right, give people time, adhere to the Davis Sterling protocol and the Robert's Rules of Order. But this consent agenda, Gary will be taking it over. He's got 4 items that he is going to present, 3 of which are what you always hear is the what do you call it, Gary? The duty to inspect. The duty to inspect. So we're going to be able to handle all that in one motion. So again, it's us striving to make these meetings more meaningful and more streamlined.
Actually, Tom's going to make the motion.
Thank you. As corporate secretary, I am. So it's Lynn, I'm just not close enough to it, sorry. Explain what a consent agenda item is. We just collapse everything into one motion. So in this case, it's the approval of 2 board meetings, the duty to inspect, and the third third item is increasing the dollar amount on one of the accountants' use of a credit card, $8,000. So I move acceptance of this consent calendar.
Second,
Moved in second, any discussion by the board? All in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. See how easy that was? Okay, now we're moving to Gary. I thought you were gonna take that, Gary. For the treasurer's report,
We're gonna do a little change today. I'm gonna sit here and my able assistant is going to handle what goes up on the board behind me.
Gary, let me add, Gary is a stickler for details. I don't know if you know that about Gary. This presentation was written on PowerPoint, but unfortunately we're using Google to present it because of technical difficulties. So some numbers are offline and not in a beautiful column. Just that's the only reason why, Gary. Please don't get mad at me. Just look at your papers. That's fine.
Okay,
I'll support you.
here's a summary of the reconstruction report. This is the work that you just heard about being done in the villas and the condos. So, as you may recall, I'm sure, 4,200,000 has been assessed. And we still have a little over around 2 million left. And we're led to believe that we're still on budget. So that's all I'm going to have to say about the reconstruction report. Operations cash flow. You see across this page three columns: operations, reserves, and reconstruction. Those are the three main categories of assets that we have. So you'll see this is a 2-month report. So you'll see in the beginning of January, operations had a $93,000 positive cash flow. I'm sorry, operations had a cash balance of 93,000. Reserves, 2,000,004. Reconstruction, 2,000,004. And the cash flow for the 2 months. And then you see a negative for operations, positive for reserves, because reserves does get 300,000 a month from the assessment, so it was more than their expenditures for the 2 months. And the reconstruction fund is just going to go down each time. So on the end of February, we have cash of negative 31,000 in operations, 2.5 million in reserves, and 1.9 million in reconstruction. You might have noticed on the previous page that it was reconstruction was 2.1 million. I'm using the 1.9 million because that's the number that was in the financial report. And as to any discrepancy, I can leave that up to Scott. Let me just say that the 31,000 negative in cash in the end of February is on our books. That's not the bank balance. That's not what the balance in the bank. The bank has a couple 100,000, right? Over 100,000 in cash showing on their balance. The rest is just in transit. It'll go on to revenue and expenditures. So operations, which is everything except dining. You see the revenue from assessments, 915,000. And we subtract the reserves, which we, at the beginning of each month, we send off to the reserve account. Net revenue of 785,000, which is slightly better than budget. We did have a positive revenue source in the month with what we get from unit sales from the marketing people. you'll see that the expenses in the four major categories: maintenance, resident services, housekeeping, and administration. Maintenance is 7% under budget. The others are just practically on budget. And you'll see that the total of 17,000 under budget, 18,000 under budget is 2%, which with this magnitude of revenues and expenses, that's very good budgeting, because it's very hard to get that close to budget over any length of period of time. So you see that we ended the February with a net revenue of 47,000, which was 32,000 better than budget. Then we go to dining. Dining ad revenue, 348,000. Now, most of that is from the assessment, of course. Supplementing the assessment, there are guest meals, there's the bar revenue, and anything besides the guest and bar, I think that's not it, is it?
Meals over assessments, room service.
Yeah, room service, a few minor things. That's under budget, and we ask each of you to do your part and go to the bar and pick up a drink. That column is, that category has been going down every year for the last 3 years. We're just not doing our part. So expenses. If you look at it in the total, 224,700 in total expense for February. That's less than 1% off of budget. So you couldn't ask for any better than that. So then you get a net revenue, then just subtracting that from the revenue, net revenue of 18,000, 5,000 under budget, like I said, practically on budget. And then you combine the two. And you see the operations. You see the budget number on the left and the actual on the right. February is 47,000 over budget for operations, 15,000 for dining, and net is 66,000. That's compared to a budget of 36,000. So the total is $27,000 better than budget for February. That's it for the financials. I'll just say that we're still working to maintain a rather low cash position, which we will try to bolster if we ever have any opportunity to get excess revenue, because it is a bit of a chore to keep operations fluid when we're running low on cash like that. But so far, it hasn't become a critical issue. And so we're going to keep that in mind. And as far as what this tells you for the rest of the year, a lot of it is timing. As you know, we talked in the past about how every 4 months we have 3 payroll periods instead of 2, and that throws the cash out of balance, and then takes several months to recover that again. So we're in a period right now where we're recovering from January, and by March, we'll have recovered that relative to the budget. So I'd say we're looking, all in all, in pretty good shape right now.
Questions for Gary, the money man. Okay. On this. You're gonna handle the insurance or?
So the board is asked to approve renewal of our insurance policy. As you're probably by now well aware, this is one of our major expenditures other than payroll salaries. This is probably our largest single expenditure. The insurance year runs from April to March. So renewal comes within a week or so from now. Let me just list the things that we cover under insurance. We have property insurance, general liability, auto, crime, umbrella, excess liability, earthquake. And that's it. Total is the expected renewal price is going to be $957,000. The effect on it because it's on a different calendar year than a different year than our calendar year. The effect on the budget is going to be $940,000, a little bit less, but that's still. What was the percentage increase? No, the whole thing.
Essentially a 5%.
5% increase. So out of that $957,000 premium, $385,000 of that is for earthquake coverage. And right now, the management and the board are looking at alternatives to that sizable amount that we're spending every year for earthquake coverage. And we have a very good consultant that's been working on it. We're due to get a report from him very soon. And when we get that, we're going to take a good hard look at what we should do about earthquake. In the meantime, that's part of the package. So we're going to renew the package with earthquake. If the board decides that we can cut out some of the earthquake, maybe trim it down some, do something with it, and that results in the lower premium, we can make that change after 3 months. So we'll be locked into the full premium for 1 quarter of the year, and then depending on what we decide, it might be different for the rest of the year. If we decide to go with less insurance, we're not just going to spend the money willy-nilly. We're going to probably put that into a special reserve so that it can grow and add to it every year. So that we're essentially insure that liability. Anyway, it's too early to get into the details right now because we haven't got the report and we haven't really analyzed it yet, but that's where we are with insurance. So having said that, I would like to make a motion that the board approve renewal of the insurance package and a total of $957,372 effective April 1st.
Moved in second. Discussion. No discussion. Any questions from the residents on this insurance package? Almost $1 million. We, the residents, are paying.
I'm sorry, I was a little slow. I support the further investigation of self-funding. No, I'm just not speaking into it. I support your continued exploration of self-funding the extremely expensive earthquake insurance.
Our earthquake insurance has doubled over the last 2 or 3 years. And it's up 15% last year, up 9% this year. We don't know what it'll be ad infinitum. So it warrants a very good look. And we've got to renew for 3 months before April 1st, so next week, this week. And so we're gonna go ahead and do that. But we're gonna take a hard look, but after a quarter, we can make some decisions of whether we want to move it, or whether we want to self-insure, or exactly what we want to do. Is that pretty much right, Tom?
Yes, thank you very much.
Question, Jay
Yeah,
Reinberg.
I think we,
Give the mic.
Thank you. I think we live quite a distance from either of the really active faults around here. And so we're kind of in between them in an area that probably is not likely to get really heavy shaking from an earthquake. So I just wanted to throw that out.
Well, I hope you're right, Jay.
I hope so too.
I know, let me get to you in just a second. It's been 157 years since the Hayward Fault had a damaging earthquake. In this area, and been 119 years since 1906, since the San Andreas Fault. So you're right, we're not in an earthquake area, but who knows? Okay, I can't see who this is in the back.
Could you clarify what earthquake insurance actually is? What are the deductibles? What's covered? But because insurance has all sorts of
Yeah,
loopholes.
that's one of the problems we see in the current insurance packages. The deduction. Gary says he can give you specifics.
Not specifics, but I can, in general, we have a deductible that relates to each condo. And I'm not familiar about the bills, but for each condo, there's a separate deductible of $10 million. And I believe after that, there's co-insurance as well.
It's actually about, our deductible is 1/3 of the building value. So let's say, the building is $100 million, the deductible will be 1/3 of that before insurance would kick in. And I think that's the challenge that we're looking for is not only our limits, so our limits are not the whole entire property value, we've taken a percentage of that, then the deductible is pretty significant. That would probably necessitate a special assessment anyways. And then the premium itself is now around $400,000. So when you're trying to add in all these numbers, we're starting to recognize what's the true value of the insurance line if we're paying this amount of money.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just wondering, it
Marcy.
sounds to me like almost a no-brainer. And
Marcy, would you stand up back,
no,
speak a little?
sure.
Just hold it up.
Yeah, we like your attire anyway.
I'm not perfectly dressed, but anyway, that has a whole other.
Speak a little closer into the mic.
Okay, so I'm just wondering, we've been hearing about this. In my mouth.
You're doing fine.
Okay, I'm doing better than I was an hour ago. Anyway, so it seems like we've been talking about this for about 3 months, and I'm just wondering why it's taking so long it seems like almost a no-brainer. Is it just because you're looking for something alternative? Because it seems like a lot of money to be putting out that everybody's questioning. That makes sense.
Good question. Very good question. We have been deliberating this. You're right. We brought in a consultant, and the consultant did a lot of work around, and we were a little bit late bringing him in when we realized what the policy is, and his findings preliminarily were that our buildings, our condo buildings, and the villas are very well constructed, and that the risk of big damage in either of those is very minimal. What we did find out is in this building, because of the spacious rooms, that there is a risk should an earthquake come up. So we haven't gotten the findings of that, the official findings of that report. We were hoping to get it in time to make a decision for April 1st, but we didn't. And we had a debate in the board about, and the finance committee, as to whether we should go on and take some action without the official report, or whether we should wait. And prudence dictated that we wait. So that's what's happening now. Yeah, Mike, you want to say something about it?
I think,
Mike is co-chair of the finance committee.
I think the discussion here reflects what we said in the finance committee. There are two kinds of people. There are those who would like to gamble right now to save money, and there are those who would like to take a little longer to be sure of how much we're gambling. And so we were more comfortable getting the expert report before we made that decision. Not only in terms of what the damage could be, but there's some damage that isn't immediately apparent. For example, besides repairing windows and dry wall, etc., if you cannot inhabit the building for several weeks or months, who pays that cost? Where does that expense lie? And if the clubhouse, which has the biggest structural risk, were out of commission for 2 or 3 months, how do we manage in that circumstance? So there are a few moving parts that we felt we needed to get our arms around. And the fact that we can terminate the policy in 3 months' time reduces the expense that we might be exposed to if we do decide that we want to take an alternate route. So if you like the famous phrase, an abundance of caution, we thought we had a good idea of what the outcome could be, but there are some aspects that we weren't totally aware of, and we should have that in the expert's report pretty soon.
Thank you, Mike. And Mike is vice chair of the committee, not co-chair. Any other questions on the insurance? Okay. We don't need a vote on that at this point, do we?
Not on the earthquake, do we have a vote on the actual?
Vote on the total package. We have the motions on the floor. Any other discussion by the board members? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Gary, you're gonna handle the assistant treasurer.
Yes.
Cliff's not here, so we can talk about him all we want tonight.
So there's a couple of things going on right now that lead us to the board to decide that we should initiate an assistant treasurer, fill that position for now anyway. It's something that, like all the board officers, is up for renewal, is up for reconsideration every year. And two reasons why we think I think that's a pretty good idea right now. One is that it's a good training ground to become a treasurer later, if that were to be the case. And it's a good relief to be an assistant to the treasurer with things that such as signing some checks and doing inspections and so on. So this would be a help. Plus, Cliff is not going to be eligible to be on the finance committee next year. He's already been extended 1 year. So he wanted to know the other day what his career path was. So we thought we'd start him at the bottom. Anyway, the bylaws state that if the secretary, the treasurer, and the assistant treasurer need not be directors. So I'm proposing that the board approve Lynn Shilroy as assistant, as a non-director assistant treasurer for the period between now and the next election in January.
I have a second.
Second.
Okay, now's a real good time to talk about Cliff. So any discussion from the board or from the resident? All in favor of this motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Okay, Scott, you're gonna give us a management report now, what's going on around the campus here?
Okay, I'm gonna come back to my second home, second base. We're gonna go from here. Cover this up just for a second. Give away the surprise. There we go. Okay. This is not a surprise, but we start off. We're so close. So close. In fact, I got an email from a resident or two saying, "Thank you for the Warriors games. They're back." And I was so surprised. But I ran down and checked and double checked and triple checked. We're about here. And we're going this way. That's the good news. So we were here and then maybe went back here. So later on in the afternoon, you're going to see an actual codification of the agreement, the amendment to the contract to get our channels back. The quote was, "You should have it by the end of this week." This is that week. So my goal to everybody was opening day and or the playoff push for the Warriors, and I'm running out of days. Hang in there. Glenn and I already signed off on the agreement just to get it going. So that was sent about 2 weeks ago. So at any moment, they don't have a day that just flips the switch. It'll just appear. And remember, it's beyond just sports. We're getting probably about 75 to 100 more channels. That varies in arts and entertainment and sports. And then we also absorbed some new channels when we lost our original sports channel. So we have a pretty robust channel for everybody, I'd like to think. But don't forget about oh my goodness, what is our in-house TV channel? 1980, 81. That's the channel to check out. Okay, so moving right along, there's a couple of little items to bring up here. Front gate replacement. Raise your hand if you have seen this view. Specifically, I try to get a real-time POV, as they call that, point of view. The good news is that the word is April 1st will be the day that the vendor comes in to install it. They could not repair the gate. They had to recreate a gate. So it's taken some time, and thank you for your patience. Always mind that stop sign. I do get a call once in a while from the gatehouse saying, "Yikes, people are just coming through." So please be mindful of that, but thank you for your patience there. The redwood tree. So building 100. We lost a good one today, but we want to thank the redwood tree for its service over 35 years. Out over by building 100, there's a significant tree removal. You can see how close the tree is to the foundation though. And this is part of that water mitigation project. There's a drain body that's scheduled to get installed right here that we just can't do because of that tree. Thankfully, there's another redwood tree. Let's call this one 35 years old. We probably have a young teen, 15-year-old teen tree sitting right here that'll slowly grow. If you want inspiration, please come to my office. There's a picture, not of 100, but of building 400 that has all these little tiny saplings circa 1990. And if you go out to building 400 now, you see how vibrant those trees are. Trees grow, so give them some time to grow, just like that 15-year-old that you know at home. But thank you for the tree, and thank you for the residents for understanding about the removal there. Continental breakfast change. We report all news here. So I appreciate Danielle Uwaldi and others talking about kind of the menu items. I've talked to the people that are at the Continental breakfast. We don't bring a cannonball or a wrecking ball to things at Smith Ranch. We just bring little chisels. We figured, it might be time to get rid of the frosted flakes. Might not be recommended by the Surgeon General. And maybe we're not here yet, but we do have yogurt and we have granola in the dispenser that replaced the Frosted Flakes. So we're moving towards some better offerings. A comment I made earlier today is that one day we dream of a settlement on Mars, and one day we'll have a dream of fruit in the continental breakfast. And when you have yogurt, you're already pretty darn close to that fruit. So stand by on that. This is a nice change here. Get a load of this good-looking group right here. So last week, the Marin IJ recognized all of those honorees that received a Reader's Choice Award for 2024. As you may recall, we were at Smith Ranch Homes honored with in the winner's circle of best retirement community. That might be the top 3, maybe not the number 1. But Jerry and Bonnie and I went to College of Marin at the Indian Valley campus. Beautiful new buildings that they have there. But we had our photo op. We had a lot of good time. And Jerry, I see you in the audience. Do you mind coming up for just a quick minute? Because at that event, we received some nice swag, as the kids call it. But we did receive a nice board here. And I think Jerry may be warming you up on how do we go from the honor award to a first place award, Jerry. So take it away.
Well, first of all, we put on our marketing hat last year by entering the Marin Senior Fair. And we had never been there after 37 years of the Marin Senior Fair in existence. We had never been there. We put together a bunch of people that support that project, and the Community Relations Committee and the Communications Committee sponsored it. And it went off. There was 140 booths. We were one of 140. And we have video, the only video in the crowd. It was a phenomenal success. And what happened was that people got to know us all of a sudden. And when the vote came up for the IGA First in Marin, or Best in Marin Award in November, following the September Marin Senior Fair, we got more votes than we ever have had before, and you had to have only 10 to get on the honorary list, and we made it. So this next year, we intend to get everybody voting. It's just an IJA website, so we'll be able to do that easily. Plus, we're going to take a look at we've already taken a look at a survey of our website, reports on what people think about this place, and it's pretty low. It has been low because we've had so little visibility or promotion. So we're on a big rise in promotion, and we're going to work on the websites, and we're going to put in comments that are positive. And we hope to get a 5 rating one of these days soon. So the committees are working really hard in your behalf. And as a result, we got the Smith Ranch Award. I'm going to give that to Glenn as our chairman of the board. Glenn? And I'll also put this, allow this to be.
Thank you, Jerry.
And this will be on your desk or whatever you like to do.
Do I get to take all this home?
Yeah. So I think that's it. And I wanted to thank all of the community in participating like they have, and will continue to do. Thank you very much.
All the people that worked with you to make that happen. So Jerry's been working very hard.
Jerry took my microphone.
Okay, yeah. If you find yourself running out of things to do, I think one of the areas that Jerry mentioned is, he said website, kind of the internet footprint. When you Google Smith Ranch Homes, like a lot of people do, there's ratings, and there's a lot of rating entities out there, but Google kind of comes to the top. If you find yourself on a Saturday with nothing to do and you feel inspired to leave a comment or a star on those reviews about Smith Ranch, we want them to be honest and wholesome, but also we need those numbers to maybe grow up, because I think when you see the numbers as they stand today, they leave some inspiration to be desired.
Scott, who was number 1 and 2?
Yes, good question.
We don't worry about things like that.
I do.
I believe that
Going after.
Aldersley, who's going through a major renovation right now, I believe was number 1.
Redwood was last.
Redwoods, excuse me. Okay.
I don't know that they've announced number 1.
Well, last year I think it was the Redwoods. Yeah, and maybe Tamalpais was close there too. So we have some good competition, but I think we have the goods to take number one. All right, a couple other updates across the other departments. Hopefully you've seen some of the lighting improvements as you come into Smith Ranch Homes. One of our monuments was out for a long time. We've uplit that. And then some signs that have never had any lighting, and we're kind of challenged by the location, but as you come down North Redwood and turn onto Deer Valley, there's those mini monuments to kind of point into the property and one on the corner. Sometimes when you light it up, you realize, yikes, we need to clean it up too. But we made some improvements, and they're on solar because we couldn't run any cables. So it's to be desired, but we've adjusted the temperature a little bit, and some nice improvements there. So Kevin and maintenance, thank you for that. You hopefully have seen the public relations campaign we have right now. Unfortunately, there was another backup in building 400. And so we have a campaign going right now led by Lila Beck, Kevin Bauer, and Izzy Berkson called Spare Our Pipes. No. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank here. Spare our pipes with your wipes. And could it be better? I don't know. I think that's pretty catchy. I was at Costco this weekend, and I'm sitting there pushing my cart, and I saw the disposable wipes box right there that said flushable. And I said, no, what? I almost feel like I want to put stickers on all of those. But please, those that are watching at home here, it takes a village. And it's not just residents, it's residents and caregivers and staff and others just to see something, say something, and pass the word along, because it does create really challenging circumstances for some of your neighbors during these backups. Let's see, the other areas that we're going to move to, let's move to resident services. A lot going on there. First and foremost, COVID is still in the ether, and thank you to Monica and Kim to host another vaccine clinic on April 29th. There is a due date to sign up of April 17th, so please check in with Kim. She can talk to you about the cycle that we're in within the vaccines. I think there's a little mathematics that you need to have there. But thank you, team, for bringing that to Smith Ranch Homes. There's an April in Paris night event coming April 10th, and Easter and Passover Seder on April 18th. So that's a nice day of duality. But I'm also very intrigued, and Cliff, darn it, I hope your ears are ringing again today. There is on April 15th, a tax day theme night dinner in the dining room. Who has a microphone that could just tell me what that is? Is that no tax on your guest meals, or I don't know. No cost meals. I don't know. Anyway, so we have a lot of fun going on there as well too. A number of move-ins. We have Steve and Pat Klansco in building 400, Sherry Aftab in building 100, Kirsten Newser, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, in building 400, and Natalie Montgomery in building 200. One thing just to open up here with new residents, Monica and I are committing to meeting with new residents within the first month that they come to Smith Ranch for a lunch in the grill room, just so that we can personalize management team and let them know we're here, and between resident services and the GM office, we should be able to answer a lot of their questions. So that's our goal moving forward, is to make that point of contact. That's it for me, and I'll turn it back to the board.
Okay, thank you, Scott, for that report. Well, next we're going to talk about the pool. And I see a lot of people in towels and bathing suits and so on. I wonder what all that really means. The board is, or Jack Home and the maintenance committee, and now the board, has worked very hard to try to come to some kind of conclusion that works for everybody. And I must tell you that as I was walking in, one person came up to me and said, the pool is just too hot. Another one came to me and said, the pool is just too cold. And that's the kind of comments I've been getting for the last couple of weeks, as a matter of fact, all over the campus. So we're trying to do what's right. Please know that. And I'm going to turn it over to Tom. Now, Tom is the liaison, the board liaison for the maintenance committee and landscape committee.
Thank you, Glenn. Before I get into the trenches, I'd like to welcome my next door neighbors who just moved in, I think, 10 days ago. I had dinner with them last week. Sally and Jim Lindsay, if you just raise your hands. Welcome to the community. Yes, yeah. Russ, yeah, thank you. liaison, I'm going to give you a little background as to how we got to this point in time. About 14 months ago, Smith Ranch purchased 2 new boilers for the pool and 1 for the spa, as opposed to buying big boilers. We use a sort of a stepped approach, so we don't all automatically go to a very high usage, which is very efficient. And the maintenance committee has since then, for 14 months, monitored the usage by therms and by dollars and compared it with prior years when we had prior data. So the board asked the maintenance committee if they would come up with an advisory as to what the appropriate hours for spa and pool and the appropriate temperatures given the time of year. And they have done so. Last week, the committee approved that advisory. I will disclose that it was a 4-2 decision. So nothing is simple, and certainly not this issue. Jack is here and ready to respond to some of the questions you may raise about the cost of running the pool and the spa. So that's a way of introduction. I should say that Jack appointed within his committee the subgroup. It so happens they have 3 MDs, Jill, Nelson, and Wes. They did a great job of research. So, slide 1. While I'm talking, this is one of the sources they looked at as far as the appropriate temperatures for various groups. And we have basically 3 groups. We have those that use the aqua aerobics well, year round. We have a moderator bath from April 2 on through the summer. Then it's in the winter months. There is no director, as it were, instructor, but still a large group of those people come to the pool. That's one group. Then there's the lab group. And if you look at the schedule, you compare what each group would ideally like, and there's quite a divergence between those 2. And there's the third group. Those are the people that play and exercise during the summer with their children and grandchildren and so forth. So we have a mixed grouping. It's hard, like Solomon, to come up with an answer. We only have 1 pool. Some have 3, like Bay Club. We don't have that. We can't afford to build a new lap pool. We're excited anyway. So in any case, here is my motion. I'm going to read it. I apologize, but it's long, and therefore I'm going to do it. And as a way of background, that's in slide 2. In coordination with the maintenance committee, I move the board accept the hours of operations be slightly reduced as a cost-saving measure for both the pool and the spa effective April 1 through October 31. The hours will be 9 a.m. to 8. From November 1, March 31, 10 until 4. This is only a 1 hour change. As another cost-saving measure, the board directs management to explore a newer, enhanced pool cover that would be more effective and possibly semi-automatic. 2 paragraphs. Now as to the proposed new boiler temperature settings. We repeat that. It's boiler settings that we're talking about, not temperatures. It's the boiler temperature, the water level, the temperature at which point the water is coming out of a boiler. Okay. Now, as opposed to boiler temperature settings, the board agrees with the maintenance committee that the spa setting should be 101 degrees throughout the year. No contest. Of course, the contentious issue involves the pool boiler settings to respond to the 3 separate groups that I tried to outline before. It's impossible to satisfy everyone's desires, given the way you only have 1 pool. As a compromise, the board directs the maintenance department set got two pool boilers, 84 degrees during the winter months, November 1 through March 31. And during the remainder of the year, staying set at 82. These are boiler settings and are not the desired temperatures. During the summer months, maintenance department will monitor the pool temperature at an appropriate depth and not the thermometer sheet in the recycling area. So if temperatures exceed the boiler settings, the solar coils will be turned off. So we're trying to get not too hot as to get the lap people and the exercise people irritated. Anyway, that is my motion. All of it is.
Okay, do I have a second to Tom's motion?
I'll second.
Okay, moved and second. Now we will have questions from the board. We talked about that some this morning, but this is the official discussion. And we'll have any discussion from the residents.
Excuse me.
Oh, you've got a point?
Not a question, but I just want to elaborate one thing. The temperature from when the water leaves the pool boiler can be regulated precisely. The temperature in the pool cannot. There are too many other factors, external factors. So you might think, gee, 82 degrees, is that really warm enough? But as many of us that have been in the pool know, in the summertime, it gets much warmer than that because of the sun beating down on the water. So it's really impossible to set a standard. That is, we're going to set the temperature of the pool at exactly this, exactly 82 or exactly 84. There are too many extraneous factors, the wind, the sun, other conditions. So all we have control over is the temperature when it leaves the boiler. We can't really control what happens in the pool. So.
Any other discussion from the board? Okay, we have Jim Holden at the back.
Quite frankly, that doesn't seem like much of a compromise whatsoever. I realize that the boiler temperature is the only one you can control. But during the summer, when most of the people are using the pool, it's often cloudy here, it's often windy. And so I think the assumption that it's going to be above 82 is right sometimes, but often not right. And if we go back to the first slide, what you've done is taken the competitive swimmer or lap swimmer's temperature, which entails the fewest people, and you've ignored probably 80% of the people who like the temperature. The women particularly like the temperature somewhere between, let's say, 85 and 87. I don't think an 82 degree boiler temperature will ever get you there, except maybe at 4 in the afternoon on a warm day. So to me, this is like catering to the smallest number and ignoring the people that really use it and need it, especially those that we have. As for me, I wouldn't care, but I know that most of the people do care. And this is the wrong solution.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Other comments? Russ Pratt.
Just a
Get a microphone.
I'm loud enough.
No.
Question. I'm
Right
curious.
behind you.
Oh, no, mine's gone. Since I'm brand new, and I've only been in the pool once.
You'll have to hold it closer to your mouth. We
Okay.
broadcast it's Russ, that's one reason we need to talk.
Thank you. Because I'm new, I don't know how many people use the pool during the summer. I can see the point you made earlier. My question is, how many lap swimmers there are, if there are very few, because I'm one, maybe you are. And then it may be very true, for me, lap swimming, it doesn't matter what the temperature is, they can do it really cold or hot, that doesn't matter.
Russ, would you hold it a little
Yeah.
closer?
But for all of you here, how many are recreational? Are there other lap people? Because if it's a bulk of you in the summer, then that is an important consideration. Again, for lap swimmers, I don't know, how many laps, can I have a hand raised? How many lap swimmers? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's 4 out of 300, my gosh. The bottom line is it is a limited number. And I can only say that I can have the temperature at 60 degrees and be just fine, but that's only special. So I'm comfortable with those temperatures. But I think the gentleman made the point about the bulk of the population being better off with a different temperature. The only comment I would make about that, I like to swim first thing in the morning. So it's going to be cooler in the morning. Doesn't matter to me what the temperature is. If it's hotter in the day, later in the afternoon, then swim later in the afternoon if you feel like it, because it's going to be a lot cooler, and therefore the water temperature may be better for each of you. Anyway, that's all.
Thank you, Russ. Marcy Leach.
Stand by.
How many of you use the pool to do exercise class? Okay, how many of you use the pool to recreate, not lap swimming necessarily? And I don't know about you guys, okay, I can only speak for the ones like me, that the exercise class is crucial to me, and I really miss it in the winter. I come in and I do the exercises in here. It's not the same. It's wonderful because it's winter, but in here, there's no sun, there's no air, there's no chatter. And it's just a totally different kind of a feeling. And we pretty much use it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, all during the year round, the summer time. For me, and that's why I'm the poster child, is because I end up getting out really soon. I exercise. It's not like I'm standing around talking. I exercise, but I get really cold, and I can't. And so I go into the hot tub, and sometimes I do the exercises in the hot tub, but I can't do that very often because you can only do it like for 5 minutes at a time. So I'm speaking up. It's an emotional issue for me at this point because it's one of the reasons we moved into this place, was because not only did it have the pool, but it had Joni Gregan's. And that was a real selling point for us. So I know.
Gladys.
I'm Gladys Gilliland, and Gary is right that the temperature that the pool, the motors are set at is much higher than it actually comes out. An 82 degrees is going to be about 80 in the pool. You're not going to get a lot of people. Even I, and most people know I go all the time. Even I, the other day, had cold feet. My feet were freezing, and I go to the pool 3 days a week, all year round. And the other thing is, you not in all those figures that you gave, you did not compare what the JCC and the Y are doing. Both of those are nonprofit organizations, and their temperatures are much higher than ours. The 82 does match their lap pool at the JCC. The Y is 85, and their, what you might call their fitness pool at the JCC is 90. And I checked that with my daughter because she teaches aerobics there. And she said that she teaches in the 82 because that is for strenuous exercise and younger people. The warmer pool is for the more senior citizens like me. So that is something I wished you had considered. These are all people here who do use it on a regular basis. So maybe some of them would like to say.
Jill Leverton, and then we'll get to you, Bill.
This is a very, very difficult question and it's not going to get solved. One thing that Gladys sort of half pointed out is that the other places have more than one pool. So you have a pool. So you have a pool that sets the temperature if people want to do lap swimming, and a pool that's set for people who want to do the exercises. And both are valid points, both want to have a pool that's comfortable for what they do. We do have to consider also the cost. And although there's a goodly number of people who do this, it's a large cost for the rest of the people who don't go anywhere near the pool. And so we can't just ignore that. And by putting it up to a higher temperature, it does increase the cost. So I think what we have to do is we have to try, maybe instead of 82, put it up to 84 or something like that at the as it comes out of the heaters, and just see how that goes. But I really don't think it makes sense that we can't really afford to put it up to the 86, 80, 90, whatever. I mean, that's just not going to work. So I think that give it a try 84, but I don't really think we should have any higher. And in the summer months, make a point of turning down the solar, or turning off the solar when it gets too hot, which it frequently does in the summer.
Thank you, Jill. Jill was in the group of 3 medical doctors who did the research, preliminary research on this. Jack wants to say a few words, and Jack, we'll get to you too, Kay, in just a minute.
So, you know, I looked at the cost of the pool, and right now, during the winter months, it averages like $5,000 a month. So it's not an insignificant number. And if we raise the temperature, the cost is going to go up. And, you know, it's hard to estimate this sort of thing. I did a little AI search, and they said it was like 5% per degree to 10% per degree. So, you know, if you look at that number, it's somewhere around $500 per degree per month. You know, so it's not an insignificant number. And I think, you know, I think that Jill made a very, very valid point. There's not a lot of people that use the pool. So, I mean, you know, in terms of the whole population. So, I mean, it's a balancing act. But I think you should deal with all the facts.
Okay, Beverly Reinbrand. Sorry, Kay.
Yeah, let's jump to Kay if you don't mind. She's been patiently waiting.
Okay.
Thank you. The aquatic fitness programs for the Aquatic Exercise Association have determined that the water temperature for older adults, which we are, should be 83 to 86 degrees for moderate to high intensity exercise and 86 to 88 for low intensity. And then one other point I want to make. In the Smith Ranch Homeowners Association Resident Guide and Homeowner Manual, under General Information, tab 5, page 9, it stated the swimming pool is maintaining at a temperature of approximately 86 degrees. And the wellness pool, or spa as we call it, maintain at a temperature of 99 degrees.
Thank you, Kay. Beverly?
Yes, I think you have to consider too the time of day that we're doing the water aerobics. So it's not often a warm temperature outside. And I feel the 82 is just too cold, even maybe 84. The Red Cross recommends 86 to 88. But you have to be comfortable in the water.
You have to turn on the air
It has to be
conditioner.
warm enough so that your joint
Getting hot in here.
will be lessened so that you can do the exercises in the pool. And I think there are a lot of us that depend on that. And I would rather see the pool closed for 2 months in the winter. And that way, because there is no water aerobics in the winter. And so I think a lot of us don't even use the pool in the winter because it's just too cold.
Okay, who is it back? Yeah, good.
I am a lap swimmer.
Oh,
I swim 2-3 times a week all year. There are usually people in the pool. I swim for a long amount of time and people come and go while I'm there. Lap swimmers are not organized. I have no idea who the others are. We don't, call each other to show up at the meeting. So I don't think you have a clear idea of how many lap swimmers use the pool all year. There actually are. I think it's considerable. Also, in the summer, it has been very, very warm. And I understand that closing the, maybe adjusting the temperature has to be a compromise. But this past summer, it's been, I think, very, very warm for even, a short lap swim. But I don't think you can get an idea of how many people use the pool by the few of us lap swimmers who've shown up here today. Because I think we're notoriously unorganized and just on our own, but we do use the pool. Thank you. Thank you.
Jim Holden?
A couple items. Jack, you were talking about the cost in the winter.
I was sitting in there listening and I decided I'd be more comfortable here and I really don't care about the pool temperature. Yeah.
Summer, where there are at least 20 people who use it for recreation and the exercise program. And so the real issue is how much it costs a degree during the summer.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
To your point, Jim, there, in the summertime, quite honestly, we use the solar heating and the cost is very low. It's around $2,000 a month, maybe $1,500, but it's not as significant. It's not nearly as significant as it is in the winter.
That's my point. It's really not a cost issue because we feed people breakfast for free all the time. And the people who use the pool for rehab and recreation and exercise are way more than the people who eat breakfast free. So, and this is something that is important for real estate. It is a big, big attraction. And every time that the Coldwell Banker brings somebody in, they take them down to the pool, they show them the exercises, etc. You will not have people exercising if you're going to keep it as cold as you're promised and save very little money, evidently, according to Jack. So we're making a big mistake if we turn it down. Like somebody suggested, maybe we should turn it off during the winter when it's costing us $5,000 a month.
Elizabeth Sal?
Yes, this is just a question here. I'm curious, if the hours were cut in the winter, would that make a difference? Because I feel like maybe if the hours were cut to like 10 to 2 or something, maybe people. No.
I quite honestly, I don't think that'd make a huge difference because you gotta heat the pool up and you can't keep heating it up and cooling it down. So I think it'd be marginal the savings we'd get from that. I don't really know, but I think that's true. So.
Carol?
Yeah, I'm a regular swimmer in the pool. I swim almost year round, except for maybe December 15th. I swim except when it's under 60 degrees. And I want to go back to Tom's point that the heat as it comes out of the boiler is not what it is in the pool. And I've heard people say it's lower than that. My experience is it is often way above that. Yesterday I was in the pool, found it totally comfortable. Tom was saying it was 82. The thermometer that's under that plastic thing was reading above 86. It was a sunny day. So I really feel it goes the other way, that it's often warmer than 82. And also I'm wondering, what is the compromise? What do the towel wearers want in terms of a temperature? I've heard various temperatures, but not you know, what are you actually after? In terms of a set temperature.
Thank you, Carol. Now, Leslie Horn. You want to give her your.
I'm both a lap swimmer and I join the others in sort of the aerobic exercises. And I go down 30 minutes before that starts and I swim laps, and I've done it all my life. And I cannot swim in anything higher than 84 degrees because I cannot breathe. I just can't do it. When we go to the, to just fooling around and doing our exercises, the 84 is still very comfortable for me.
Thank you. Gladys.
I have wondered whether or not we could look at on a 12-month basis. I know that our heating bill is much less in the summer than it is in the winter. Wouldn't it be more fair to look at 12 months cost and then divide it to see whether or not the winter is setting us way off one side when we maybe aren't spending as much? And I can remember one summer, 1 month, when Scott said we were hardly spending anything on the water. So that would be one suggestion. And yes, 84 works fine for the pool, for exercise. But turning it off in the winter would be hard on those of us who count on it. It's the one place you can exercise without being afraid of falling and breaking something.
Jack, do you have a comment on that? Okay, I think we just need to wrap it up now. Go ahead, Tom.
Just a suggestion for another compromise. I did hear from Carol yesterday that the pool was at 86 on the surface, and that occurred within the 3 o'clock. I authorized Kevin to move it up from 82 to 84, and so that's how quick the pool can change. My thought is that if we could give it a 3-month trial and measure the temperature at depths in the pool and see if what 82 can trigger within the pool as to the actual temperature. And if it doesn't get up to 84, then I would recommend that we authorize maintenance to increase it to 83. And if that doesn't work, 84, but let's try 82 for a while and see if that works and monitor the temperature.
Beverly?
Yes, can that be done at 10 a.m. when the water aerobics class will be going on? Rather than later in the afternoon? So that we
Could you
know what
change
our
your,
temperature.
could you change your aerobics to a later in the afternoon?
No, she cannot do that.
She cannot do that.
No.
Thank you.
We've had 24,
Okay,
26.
I think we've had enough commentary. Thank you, everybody, for their contribution here. It's now time to take a vote on Tom's motion. We have a motion and a second. Which is, Tom's motion was what he read.
What we have here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as I said in my motion, we would monitor now I'll amend it further at 10 a.m. See what the temperature is, and if it's not getting up to 84, then move it up to 83 and see how that will move.
Is that in the motion? No. I didn't think it was.
Oh, God.
Some kind of amended.
I would go along with that amendment. I think what we should see in the pool should be at least 84, but not more than 85.
I think in a way to keep this thing moving, we're talking about two things in a way, this thermostat setting and then a pool temperature requirement. And I heard 84 is kind of a number that works with both sides. So to work with your motion, Tom, is maybe work with these settings of the boiler level and then challenge our in-house team to make sure that they're monitoring the water to keep it at 84. It's gonna be challenging on a cold day to keep up with the Joneses, but I think we'll endeavor to try to get the water temperature at an 84-degree setting.
Thank you, Scott. You, also concerned about the cover?
Yes, we're instructing maintenance department to investigate the best and most appropriate new technology for a cover for our pool of that size.
Dean, do you have a comment?
Yes, I was just asking Tom, his original motion was suggesting 82 degrees over the summer and then 84 in the winter months. Now, after this discussion, are we saying 84 year round?
That wasn't his motion.
No. So if we need to make a new motion, what we can do is vote down the motion that's on the table and have him make a new one.
That's the board's prerogative.
Yeah.
I would withdraw my initial motion.
I'll withdraw my second.
I'll make a new.
Is this according to Robert's rules of order? It is, okay. Okay, now what is the new motion, then? And let's be clear about it.
Well, I think Scott captured my thought more carefully than I did, so if he could repeat it, I'll support it.
I'm not sure any of this is Robert's rules, but if it's working.
Yeah, I think we're gonna work with Tom's recommended boiler thermostat settings. And we are in-house going to be endeavoring to manage the solar and the boiler to keep the water temperature at a regular approximate 84-degree threshold year round. If that means tinkering with the boiler here and there, we're gonna watch this for the next 3 months. I think if we're trying to be pulling levers and gears every minute of the day, that's gonna be very challenging. But I think overall, the motion would be to adopt Tom's recommended boilers while at the same time ensuring a approximate 84-degree water temperature in the pool.
Do I hear a motion?
So move.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second with the proviso
Okay.
that we obtain a thermometer that can measure the pool temperature at 3 feet underwater so that it can be easily measured during the day.
I don't think we put that in the motion, but I think that's a good suggestion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm trying to think of the motion, but the motion is carried. I hear clapping. I don't know where that came from. Side of the issue. Okay, we're gonna move on now. Scott, maybe you've already taken us through the Comcast agreement. Is there more information you need to impart?
No, I think we probably could have included this in the consent agenda, but I think we were just looking for the board to adopt this revised amendment that's found in your executive session.
Scott and I have already signed this, but I think everybody will be fine with it. I do have one question, Scott. That's not gonna cost the residents any more money, right?
Yep.
No more money.
No more money.
You get more for less, okay? Yes, Marge.
Thank you. I got my bill in the mail yesterday and I see an amount of 16 something for sports channels.
For sports channels.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about that. Scott, do you?
Yeah, I can't speak for your specific scenario. When I hear that, I think somehow maybe your account got signed up for the new batch of sports package channels that you needed to upgrade to. And,
Why am I being charged for it?
well, I think we're looking for our amendment to hit, and once we see the channels on our channel agreement, there'll probably be a prorated adjustment for those that maybe signed up for their sports packages earlier, and then there's an overlap. That's probably a question for our accounting team for Comcast. But I do want you to continue to monitor that, because at some point that should be removed from your bill.
I'm being charged 18, which I had before for the additional, above 120. So that's on there too.
It's stuff I will encourage everybody. I think we have Comcast coming twice a week or twice a month to Smith Ranch in the lounge. Monica, looks like you have some feedback on that.
Yeah, there's been not as many residents attending, so they've changed it to once every other month. And they come the second Thursday of the month. So they were just here in March, they'll be back in May. If we see an issue with that and we have more people needing to see them, we can bring back that once a month. So every other month, the second Thursday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the cocktail lounge. They'll be here again in May.
So we went from twice a month to once every
Once
other.
a month.
Oh, it was just once a month originally. Okay, great.
I think we should definitely schedule it for April, because with this change coming, there's probably gonna be a lot of issues that need to be resolved.
I will reach out to her today.
Is that Trish?
Yeah, they'll contact.
When are we gonna know the channels? The actual channels?
Trish?
When are we gonna know the actual channels you're including?
Sure, what we could do is on the website, post a little informational PDF of all the new channels and maybe a sheet distribution to the cubbies as well, so that you have that for reference.
Oh, I think that's great. The copy, good, thanks.
And the website.
Aaron Levy?
I don't know, I started getting 720 a couple days ago.
Just a minute, Aaron, somebody will get a mic.
I started getting at least channel 720 at least a couple days ago. I just,
Good, and I got a message from Bonnie as well, so thank you for that. I don't know if it's a slow trickle or if it's just a light switch on when they turn on these channels. So I'll circle back with our account manager. He's the one who's been rooting for us with corporate to get this thing back. So I'll let him know the lay of the land and figure out what's happening.
yeah, I was surprised, but also yesterday, I had a glitch in my computer, and I think the process of doing it messed up my computer for a short period of time, and it came back on. Yeah, I lost it, it said I'm not connected to the internet, and I don't know what I did, but finally came back.
Opening day party at Mr. Levy's house, though. Sounds like it.
I tried 720 this morning and didn't get it. So it's kind of a mixed bag.
Now, I'm not looking for everybody to contact me every day to let me know if they have 720 or not, but we'll keep
I'll
a finger on that.
contact him every day. Okay, we need to vote on this contract. So, do I hear a motion? Do I hear a motion to approve the revised Comcast contract?
Okay,
I'll move it.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion's carried. The next thing is the nomination committee. I'm the board liaison to the nomination committee. And the finance committee has been without we've had one vacancy on the finance committee, and we were kind of hoping to keep it open so that we could get a female on the committee. It's always good to have one. Not a token female. No, I'm embarrassed. I'm trying to be good to the women in there.
Glenn, Nancy's gonna have a comment with you.
Yeah. Does anybody want to take this one over? Anyway, Greer Goldman was on the finance committee for about a year. And because of health reasons and other personal issues, she asked to get off. Well, I approached her about 2 or 3 weeks ago when we found out that a couple of other people had turned it down. And I asked her if she wanted to come back on the committee. And she said no, said she still wasn't in a position. 2 weeks later, a couple of days ago, she called me and told me that she was willing to come back. So we need to, I guess, approve her. I don't think it's been through the nomination committee yet. Has it? It has been, okay. So all in favor of putting Greer Goldman back on the finance committee, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Greer's on the committee. Okay, here's another goodie. Not quite as goodie as the pool. There's a recommendation from the enhancement committee for a pergola right out in this area, just outside the window here. Yes, Francine's gonna cover that.
All right, the architectural committee and the enhancement committee have been collaborating very nicely on this concept to improve what we'd like to call the community patio, which is right outside of this community room, and to differentiate it from the plaza, which is on the front of this building. And they have raised the money to move ahead and purchase a pergola. And they are starting to look at some comfortable furniture that would be placed on the patio. Some under the pergola, some outside of the pergola. The board is on board with the concept, but they realize that we need to present this to the residents for a 30-day comment period. So I think we will be referring it back to the architectural committee to hold the 30-day comment period for the pergola. So that's my motion, that we refer this to the architectural committee to hold the 30-day comment period for residents.
I second.
Any discussion?
Charlene, I think we'd like to hear from Charlene about some ideas about comment period.
Yes, I'm sorry that I was going to talk about this in April, but I think I'll talk about it right now. That patio out there has enormous potential, we feel. It's unused, there's no protection against the sun, and there really is no community living room at Smith Ranch. So this would completely change that. You'd have tables under the pergola to, play mahjong and bridge and whatever. There'd be comfortable furniture, so the whole place would, I think it would just be an incredible enhancement to Smith Ranch. The comment period, rather than just put something up on a board, I think I'm gonna work with Lynn and we'll find some times when we could meet people down there, have sort of an open patio for an hour, show you the plans, show you what we're thinking of, the type of furniture, the ideas, and get residents to just come and talk with us and give us your opinions and your input, and really appreciate that. So I'm hoping the board will find that not just for the pergola, but also for the second phase, which is the furniture. So that's, but let them look at the input would be for the whole renovation and enhancement of that patio, not just.
So Charlene, we have a estimated cost on the pergola, but do we have an estimated cost on the furniture?
About the same. The whole project is about a $60,000 project. We're well on the way to raising the funds. People from the committee and others have already come to me, and just people are really enthused about it, let's say that.
Good.
But if any of you are interested in participating in fundraising, which I will get to in April, do come and, but you don't want to support something unless you understand it and you believe in it, you think it's gonna be wonderful for the community, which I do, so I'm very supportive, but Lynn and I will set up some times when you can come and really see pictures and get an idea of what we're talking about.
That would be nice to hold such meetings as you're suggesting. I think we may be required to post this for everybody to see on our bulletin board.
That's fine. What I've been trying to do for about a year is to get either an artist here or a photographer or someone to be able to do a render. And I'm finding that's been the most difficult part of this whole project. Some of the artists have tried and said, oh, I can't do it. And I'm going to try and talk with someone about getting a photographer to maybe do a rendering and use some of the apps. But if anyone has a clue or would like to help me with this part of it, getting a rendering, I would really appreciate it.
Thank you, Charlene. Charlene is relentless.
Yes.
I will expand, there is a policy about resident comment periods at Smith Ranch Homes, it's 9.6 in the resident guide. The good news is that policies require a 30-day comment period. So, something that's not a policy change would be a 2-week resident comment period. And there are specific steps on how to deploy the comment period that is a little more structured than what I'm hearing you say, Mrs. Harvey, but I think there's maybe some way if you review what the policy says and what your wants are, maybe you can find an answer there. But I think refer to that policy as a guideline.
Okay.
So hopefully we can work with you
Yes.
to meet what we're required to do. But the motion for the moment is that we're referring it back to the architectural committee and for a comment period.
All, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. And now Dean will take us through an art donation that we have. So much for streamlining our meetings.
All right, we have, the architectural committee has received 2 pieces of art from Mary McNamara as donations. And she has indicated where she would like them to be hung in building 100. So this has been approved by committee, and so I move that we approve those 2 pieces.
Yeah, Dean, that's right behind you. There's one. Oh, that's 2.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Dean, you're gonna take the ad hoc condo renovation
Yes.
charter.
Yes. The architectural committee and the ad hoc condo renovation committee, which is a mouthful, what come up with something short for that committee. But they've been working collaboratively and need to make 2 clarifications in the ad hoc committee charter. To clarify, 1, that the ad hoc committee will oversee the condo building aesthetics and design during the renovation project. Whereas the architectural committee will continue the day-to-day monitoring of the building common areas. A third point is artwork loans and donations will be limited and only considered on a case-by-case basis by both the architectural committee and the renovation committee. So although we just approved 2 donations, going forward, we will not be approving as many because we're going to be renovating all the buildings, and so it'd be better to kind of put some of the artwork off until we see what things are going to look like. So I move these 3 points, these amendments to the ad hoc renovation committee's charter.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion from the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Scott, I'm gonna ask you to talk to us about the transportation services contract.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. The finance committee finished before 3:30 this month. We're approaching the 4 o'clock hour ourselves. Never thought we'd see that. This is the last action item though. This is transportation services contract. We had some successes last year where we brought in a third party to provide some backup driver services for our 14 passenger bus and larger bus. There's been a demand amongst the proper community to have night and weekend events that Jonathan, our current driver, can't provide. And this firm has also provided some backup services when Jonathan either goes on vacation or calls out sick. At times, they still can't meet our needs, so we may have to do an interim rental. But I think we've seen a good success working with Michael's Transportation. Monica's passed on some good words that I guess the residents have really enjoyed the driver that's been assigned to our contract as well. So we're looking to return this contract. This is an annual agreement, and we submit it to the board for final approval.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Getting tired of saying that. Okay, anything else, open forum? Anything you want to talk about that hasn't been talked about so far? Any questions? Okay, Marguerite has a question.
I have a quick question. A question regarding the pool. Is it covered every night?
Yes.
Yes, it is covered.
Except when it's,
That helps keep the heat in. Somewhat.
except for when heavy rain is predicted.
We're unable to keep it closed during rains because it'll prevent the pool cover from opening up afterwards because of the weight of the water.
There has been some discussion on the cover, though, as I mentioned earlier, that we're not sure it's working properly, and so we're gonna take a look at that. Any other open forum questions? I know it's getting close to the 4 o'clock hour. Okay, I do want to remind you that all of the committee minutes are posted in the mailroom after each committee meeting. As soon as their minutes are
I raised my hand, but nobody paid attention.
posted in the mailroom. And the next meeting will be a town hall meeting, and that's the second Tuesday in April. I think it's April the 8th, if I'm not mistaken. And with that meeting, we'll have the ad hoc and volunteer committee chairs present. The last meeting, we had the standing committee chairs present, and that moves that meeting along a lot faster, we noticed. So just want to remind you of that. I now declare this meeting of the Board of Directors adjourned.